This week in Hey the Parents, we are talking about those dreaded words. Company's coming over, and this house is a wreck. On this episode, we're talking about organizing. You could call it spring cleaning, you could call it Marie Kondoing, or you could say that my 4-year-old is cramming into 18-month shirts and we need to swap some things out. Either way, we are here this week to discuss how to find some level of sanity with your house and your stuff. And of course, we talk about when we were younger, mishaps with our own kids, and what the supposed experts say. Because it's the three of us and all of you. I'm Michael Height.
I'm Sara D.
And I'm Mike Levine.
Kids don't come with a handbook, so we need your help.
Where do babies come from?
Where do you think they come from?
Is this a kissing book?
Mama! Mama!
What?
Hi.
I learned it by watching you.
There are no rules in this house. I'm not like a regular mom. I'm a cool mom.
We sent them to the best boarding schools. We hired the best nannies. We did everything right.
Hey, Mom! The meatloaf!
No drinking, no drugs, no kissing, no tattoos, no piercings, no ritual animal slaughters of any kind.
Together, we can rule the galaxy as father and son.
This is Hey Other Parents, an honest, messy, imperfect show for raising kids.
Hey, it's us again. Welcome
Hello.
back.
What goes
Hello.
on? Hey there, hay fever.
Hey there, Hay Fever.
Hey,
Oh, man.
hay fever.
Listen, audience, listen, members, listen, listeners. We have to be extra special kind to Sara this week because she brought her A game. She's got the coughing and the sneezing and all the allergies are attacking. But she's like, you know what? I got this. We are recording. We are making this happen. We had in New York, we had some wind, we had some rain, we had some wind advisories, we had power outages. We're like, what is happening? Does somebody not want us to record? But we are doing this. We are finally here today.
Yes.
Unfortunately, that did mean that it messed up with Mike Levine's schedule with all the crazy rain and everything else. So this was a night where he couldn't record, but he's going to join us next time without a doubt. So don't despair. Our dear good friend is well, and he will be joining us for the next episode. But before we get to that, we have to talk about the most important thing on everyone's mind, except for mine, is March Madness. So Sara D, let me tell you a little story. You know the story. I don't need to tell you the story. You know the story, but I'm going to fill you in on the latest and greatest. So
Yes.
at work, our boss decided that he was going to do a March Madness thing to kind of build some morale and have some fun at work. It's not a money or betting, whatever else it is. It's just having fun and seeing who wins and a couple of silly prizes and stuff. But anyway, so we're doing this, and Sarah's like, "Did you put in your March Madness yet?" And I was like, "No." And she's like, "You got to do this by tomorrow." And I was like, "Oh man, all right, got to do this." And she's like, "I made I made a second email account, just safe one, a random one." And I started laughing because she's like, "It's a Sarah." And I was like, "This is the greatest email address ever." So I tried to do "It's a Michael" because that was probably the most important part of this entire March Madness. So anyway, so got the email, got that all figured out because I had to get to Yahoo, and I was like, Yahoo, that's crazy because my wife's still using it. That's it. So we got into Yahoo, and apparently Yahoo Sports is basically where this stuff is. So as you may or may not know in our episodes, I have told you guys in the past, I am very unsportsmanlike. Not that I don't care about people and sports. I'm a good sport, but not when it comes to knowing sports. So in this case, I was getting a little bit nervous, and I was online, and I randomly, I don't know what I was doing. I think I was looking at hashtag March Madness. I don't know what it was. It could have been anybody. This isn't a political thing. I just happened to run across the vice president and her husband are standing there in a picture, and they're both holding these March Madness brackets. And then in another picture on Twitter, it zoomed in, and I'm like, oh man, check it out. It's a March Madness bracket. So I go online, I click it, I open it up on my monitor, and I start plugging it in. I'm just going to copy this, whatever. And I start doing it. Something's not working right. Why? Because I had the women's bracket. Okay, so now that I figured that out, then I got to the men's bracket, and I basically copied everything, and then I did get to what was it? I got to one of the Carolinas, and I think I couldn't commit to not letting Clemson move forward for undergrad. So I had Clemson moving forward, which is a little bit different, not by much. But PDDS, now a little time has gone by, and then I came into work last week, and one of my friend Mike, who's on the Dungeons & Dragons podcast campaign, he's like, "Dude, did you look at the bracket?" I'm like, "I don't know." I'm like, "Did something happen?" He's like, "You're number one right now." I'm like, "What?" So apparently, that is becoming hysterical at work because I am not the person to be doing well in this case. So right now, as it stands, and this is from what I understand. Okay, here's the latest and greatest. It says this is what I'm not gonna say names of people, but this is basically the gist. If North Carolina State wins, beating either UConn or Alabama, somebody else wins. If Purdue wins, beating either UConn or Alabama, another person wins. If UConn beats NC State, I win. If UConn beats Purdue, another person wins. If Alabama beats Purdue, somebody else wins. If Alabama beats NC State, I tie with somebody else. What that means? I don't know. But apparently after this weekend, it's all going to be over. And I think there's 3 more basketball games. I say it like I know what I'm talking about. But there's the Final Four, whatever it is, right? Yeah, the finals now. So you have the last 2 and then the big the big match. So either way, it's very funny because in the midst of all this with our Dungeons & Dragons podcast campaign, Bridget, who is on that podcast, we were like talking about it, and Bridget texted the group. She said, Mike literally said out loud the statement, I'm trying to find my sports chart, but there's a lot of pictures of AI Mexican wrestlers on here, because we were talking about something completely other random. But as you can only imagine, when it comes to sports, I don't know what I'm doing, but I will follow up next episode and let you know how I fared. But even to come this far is quite an honor. So Sarah D, let's all hang tight, because when the guy who knows nothing about sports makes it this far, somebody's got to be cheering about something. I don't know.
I am proud of you, man. I'm telling you, because we are the non-sports people, and here we are, here for you, all non-sports people. You too could possibly win a March Madness.
See, that's how it goes. And on Monday, I am going to be wearing my Go Sports shirt, because of course that seems like the right thing to do. So if this is the first time joining us on this podcast, Hey the Parents, it is a chance for a few of us parents who decide that we needed to join our efforts together to try and get through this as a survival course. We decided to do this podcast where we pick a different theme or topic every week. We discuss it from the standpoint when we were younger, when we grew up with our own parents, and then we shift on over to now as adults, what we do without a handbook with our own kids. What we go through, we share some experiences, we learn from each other, and then we hear a little bit from the experts. Every week, we feel just a little bit better because we have each other and we have all of you. So if you have any questions, comments, suggestions, all that good stuff, we'll tell you a little later in the show and how you can get in touch with us. Without further ado, we're going to jump right in to this part of our podcast, and that entails going back in time. I don't know what that means. Does that sound like DeLorean?
I like know. That.
But we are going back in time. So Sarah, this is it. So we are. Oh my gosh. So organizing. I get like the cold sweat in the back of my neck. I get the chills. I just think about as a kid, like the stress and the like go clean your room feelings, and then you walk in there and you're like, oh man, I'm just gonna wait the clock out because you think I could get through this without my parents helping me?
Oh, so I remember like back in the day, my mom used to help us clean our room, but then at some point she stopped, and like if she stopped cleaning the room, or if we made a big mess in the basement, it was me and Anthony in the basement trying to organize all this stuff. And like, you know, when you're a kid, you're having a great time, and like you're like, oh, we're gonna do this now, we're gonna do that now. Doll heads ripped all over the place, and then you look around and like you can't even find the floor, and then you're like told you're not coming out until you clean this place up, and you're like, oh my gosh, and then it feels like forever.
And you're like kind of like, and all you hear like in the back of your mind is like your parents saying like, just clean, like when you're done playing with one thing, put it away before you play with the next.
And like you're always like, why did I listen to that piece of advice? And like it just never sunk in. Anytime, guaranteed. You know, I
think my biggest problem as a kid was that I think our biggest problem is that when I would go to like find something, like I was a big kid that had like a lot of like notebooks and pads and clipboards, pencils. Like I had like all kinds of like stuff, you know? So like I would be looking like for the right notebook or the paper. And like, of course, that all comes out of like a bottom drawer and ends up like all over the floor. And like, then you just look down and you're like, what have I done? And then it's like, oh man, I need a better system.
Yeah, no, a better system. Or when you have like a board game or something that has like a lot of little pieces, my mom would be like, where's the shoe to the Barbie doll? And I'm like, I don't know. And then it's like, well, you need to find the other shoe. And I'm like, do I? And I'm like, oh my God. It's like, yes. And you're looking around like in your room that is like covered, no floor can be seen. And you're like, oh gosh. Then you cry. Then you get yelled at for crying, and then
oh gosh, it's dark. And then it's like all of a sudden you're like, oh, I guess it turns out that Colonel Mustard didn't actually kill anyone in Clue because there is no weapon here for him. So like things like that would go missing. And like, let's just toss out the entire thing now.
And then you're like, no, Mom, it's totally okay. I'll just like make a new little like candlestick or something like that. Yeah, exactly. And like, no, that's not the point. And I'm like, okay, well, I mean, I outsmarted you, but I guess
this
not.
This is the episode where Sarah and I think of murder weapons for Clue.
Yes.
So we had like
Yeah.
The same experience, like just like stuff and like why things are made so small. Like, I don't know, man. Like that is absolutely accurate. And you're saying Barbie stuff. I remember my sister had like, I don't remember like exactly, but I feel like Barbie came with like 65,000 different little pieces and combs and little things that were like very easy to lose.
Yes. And it's like sometimes they had like little rings that were like on their hands. And if you like pull them out, because you always want them to have like options.
Are they out of their mind? They put little rings?
You lost. Yeah, and like you just like kind of use your teeth to like pull them off, and then like that probably was not the right way, but that's how I did it. So I might have swallowed a couple of rings back in the day. Thanks, Mattel. But once you lost those little things, that was it. So my mom, like in our basement, I remember so clearly, like we had these like big like white milk crate kind of things, and like that was just like dust, like stuffed toys. She never like told us like, no, this is for stuffed animals and this is for dolls. She kind of just like whatever. Just put it all in there. That's it. That's all she cared about. So like once we like made the mess and like she left us to cry and like suffer in the basement, we would just throw everything in the basement, like in those little baskets, and we're cool. It was like good to go. Thanks, Mom.
Man, I mean, like once you're breaking off the engagement with Ken and Barbie, where else are you going to go from there, right?
Exactly.
So like the thing that we had in my house was so I think we mentioned the last episode. So we weren't like toy chest people. So we had like my mom tried to make it so like we had like little like places for everything. And one of the things they did was it was a combination of things. They had like one was like they tried to do this organizer thing. I don't know what it was. It was this like plastic thing from the 80s that was like this like yellow plasticky thing that would like click in together. It almost reminded me a little bit of the IKEA bookshelves that have the open spaces where things kind of fit into, but it wasn't like as nice, whatever. And like they that was like how everything would kind of like fit into the closet. Like it was like, well, did it always fit? No. But did my parents want it to fit? Sure. So that was kind of like how they believed it might go. And like it was like the combination of that. And then my parents were big on like the tins, like almost like the grandmother blue box cookies that you brought to work the other day.
Oh, with
like
the
those,
cookies.
Yeah. But then you had to memorize like what was in what tin. So like, like Legos might have been in one tin, like the what are those called? Like the Lincoln Logs might have been in another tin, but I feel like we must have had a lot of tin boxes and things like that. Cause that was like how everything was in my house. But I did have those drawers that I mentioned, and it was like the dresser, like the really wide dresser. I guess you call it a dresser. I guess you get dressed up when you're a little kid, but when you're bigger than 2 months. So there was like a dresser I had in a room that had like the drawers in it, and one of them was for clothes, and then the other one had like just papers in this one and folders and nonsense, and that was like no man's land. Things fall behind a drawer. You're like, well, I guess I'll see that when I'm 25. But that was, but we didn't have like a playroom. Like we definitely, like my sister and I had to keep everything like in our rooms. I distinctly remember that. Like I remember my mom making noise, making like kind of like under her breath, like, well, we're not going to do a play, like kind of like not okay with that idea of like the playroom, which makes me wonder what she thinks of our house now. But yeah, no, I mean, that's kind of, did you have to keep everything in your room or like in a certain space?
So we had the basement to do like mass chaos, and then like in art projects. So like my mom was like my mom's house is always, I mean, I could probably go into her house now and lick the floors. It's immaculate. So the basement was no man's land where we could just paint and do like anything messy because the floor was tile. And then we had a den in our old house, and that was also too like an area like where we had some toys and the couches was there, and like you kind of closed the door behind it when company came over. There was like the good room where you couldn't touch nothing.
Right.
So everything was like kept in that one room, I guess. Yeah. But it wasn't like, like I just remember she just always cleaned. I don't know. She was like loved cleaning.
My parents had this like closet in the basement that was like this like no man's land that was like where they put like all like suits and like sweaters and like I guess that would be like the mothball closet, you know what I mean? And it was like
the cedar chest.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And then like I don't know when it happened, but my parents they redid the basement at one point, but then my parents must have decided like all the video game stuff had to move to like a different spot. So like in this cold, unheated basement, we had like a little space heater, and that would be where you sit in really uncomfortable office chairs and then wheelchairs. My sister and I would play like old video games like that. But it was always like out of sight, out of mind. It's so funny. But what about what else was down there? Did your parents, like, because we were speaking of organizing, did your parents like do this thing where I think I do it because of my parents? Did they hold on to boxes of things like as if they needed to be returned? Like we can't throw away the boxes, and then the boxes of the products stay there for like a millennia?
Okay, so like my mom always kept her stuff in the original boxes. So like this, like the
Oh,
table.
really?
Yeah, like so the tabletop skillet was in the box that it belonged to, and it was in the cabinets, like of
Wow.
of the house, or in the basement if it was too big. So like everything was always like wrapped up the way it was basically bought. My mom was like crazy. Yeah, I tried to keep up to that, but I couldn't.
How do you hold those standards? Like, like you open something up and you take it out. Like, I don't know about you, but it's never getting back in the box the same way.
No, it's never. My mom, I don't know. My mom she just had the energy and the wherewithal to do that. Go, mom.
Listen,
but like,
I'm not judging. I'm actually pretty impressed, actually.
I know, but like, so I used to do that too. Like, you know, but now like some things I can't take out. So I'm like, it's just take out room. Like, I just can't do this. But if something in the garage, I'll like keep in there. But anyway, so like, my mom also used to do like, what is your mom like? My mom used to like wrapping paper, and she used to keep it in like the china closet in the drawers, and like any
that's so
gift
funny.
bags to reuse and stuff like that. So you always like knew where to find like the scissors, the tape, the gift wrapping stuff.
Oh my gosh, I love this podcast with you because like sometimes like you and Michael say something and like all of a sudden it's like whoosh, like these memories comes flying back to my brain.
Yes.
So like we have like my parents have a split, so like downstairs like the lower level like whatever like a family room. In that closet on the side there would be this like this thing of like wrapping paper and cards and like all this random stuff. And whenever you had to like bring a gift to my mom, like go downstairs and get a card, you know, and it would be like,
Yes.
oh, this one looks like for old ladies. This one looks for like a grandma. This one looks for like, oh, I'm
Yep.
sorry for your loss.
Yep.
No, not that one. And it was
No.
like,
Oh,
and then
that's
the
so
wrapping
funny.
paper. Like you'd be like, go get me the wrapping paper. And you're like, all right, well, this one looks like it's for the wrong holiday. This'll do. Okay,
Yeah.
let's go.
Or like I used to hate my mom's wrapping paper because she used to have like generic like. Because remember when we used to sell wrapping paper and we used to go door to door to strangers?
Oh gosh,
You know,
why do they
So,
torture us?
My mom always got like the very fancy ones, like with like the like seashells or like something like very generic. But like, who wants to give a kid like your like classmate with a seashell on it? Like, no, you want the balloons and the clown and stuff like that. She was so
In the
bougie.
background of like a poem for that you'd like hang up on your wall or something.
Yes, it was like wallpaper all the time. Ah, man, whatever. Anyways, I digress. But
And now forever you're like, cool colors, great, big combination.
yes, bright kid stuff all the time. Okay, but anyway, so like my mom always had like this insane like walk-in closet. It was like a legit room. I used to love just going in there and like hiding behind the clothes. But she always kept
Were you like
everything
E.T.?
that was like, yes, I really was. Like I was like coming out of her like outfits, like oh, she had great stuff. So like so all like the newest stuff was always kept in the front, and then like all the old things I guess she was either like and no offense mom, like one of these days I'm gonna wear it again, or it's just something sentimental. So it was like a lot of like this cool like 70s stuff and like very hippie and like
Oh my
cool
God, I
stuff.
love
Like
it.
I loved it. I loved going through all that. And the heels, like she had heels like since she was like 15 years old. And I was like walking around in them. She had like some vintage purse that I wore like or used for like my 8th grade dance. And I felt so cool because it was like a little basket purse and it was so ahead of
way.
its time. I know, I was so excited. But and it was like from like the 60s or 50s or whatever when she was younger. So if you're organized and you keep stuff, you know, you can find it eventually. So it was a good
That's
time
so
going to
funny.
the closet.
Because like I think my parents, maybe it's just like a generational thing. I think they must have really held on to stuff too. Like you would go back and it'd be like a time machine as you dig your way through. Like if you went too far, you'd probably end up in Narnia. But it was pretty legit. Like
Yes.
we're going back pretty far. One of the things that I think was very funny was like as a kid, I remember like. I just must have been, I mean, maybe I'm just like, whatever. Like I just wasn't unaware. Like I wasn't really like totally aware when it was time to like get new clothes or like, you know, to get things that fit. My mom would be like, we got to go shopping. I'm like, and I never really questioned, like, how does she know? You know, 'cause it was just like, I don't know if it was a
Right.
changing of the seasons or if my pants went up to my knees. I have no idea. So that was like the grand exodus of the clothes. And it'd be like, let's go to JCPenney's or, you know, and then it was like, okay, here we go. You bring the fun. But I mean, was it like more of a seasonal thing like with your parents or like, was it like?
So my house was, I guess, like we had enough room where we didn't have to flip any of the clothes or whatever. So, but again, you know, I'm only 5 feet, and I had a growth spurt from 8th grade to 9th grade of like an inch or something like that. Like I grew like wildly, like 1 inch.
Wow, something changed about you this summer, Sarah.
I know. I was like, I'm taller, but like I grew very slowly, so I was like legit still wearing stuff that was so old.
You're
and
like,
it looked
Mom,
okay.
I don't want to wear Smurfette shirts anymore. I'm in 7th grade.
Right. But they still fit basically. So like my mom would always say that she's like, Sarah, like we never have to like really like, as long as like it wasn't like holy or anything like that. Like we didn't have to really spend a lot of money on my wardrobe because like I never grew. My feet never grew. Nothing never grew. So you're welcome, Mom. I saved you some money.
For the record though, let's just take a special moment to appreciate Sarah's situation. Sarah is not that little. She's making it sound like she's like the size of like a small child, but she is not. And I'll let you know that Sarah's very smart because when Sarah buys Doc Martens, she's able to buy the larger kid size, the girl size, instead of buying the adult size, and she saves like $30 every time she buys Doc. So you know what?
Yes.
So bravo to you, I say.
I try. You know, there really wasn't like any changeover of clothes. Maybe once in a while something was kind of like, well, one, she would take something that was really old and like cut it up and use it as a rag, or two, she would donate it if needed.
Oh, I love it. Did your mom? So I mean, like we have to talk about some like random wacky stuff too, because I feel like you can't have all the fun. So my mom, this is really wild because I didn't really understand this concept until like later in life because this is what you grew up with. So you know, like the dish drain, like you know when you wash dishes, whatever else, you have the dish drain there. You know, things are wet. So my mom, I don't know like how this whole thing started. She used that for like the dirty dishes, which seems like a terrible idea. So like after you would bring in the plates and wipe all the food like into the garbage, and you had like your, you know, it's a dirty plate still, but like you just wiped all the stuff off of it. Before my mom would wash it, my sister would bring in the plates. She would put it in the dish drain. So like my wife and I are still like, why are you doing this? So you put it in the dish drain, so dirty plates in the dish drain, and then she would take them from the dish drain to like wash before she put them in the dishwasher. So then, like, instead of just going into the sink and just like cleaning as you go, dish drain first, then the sink, and then into the dishwasher, and then she'd wash the dish drain. I don't know why. So my wife brought this up to me, and I was like, oh, wait a minute. You're absolutely right. Why would she do that? So now, like, every time we kind of laugh, like, I think she does. I don't know, because we're over there. We just kind of like just jump in and try to help out.
She might not want a dirty sink.
Oh, interesting.
That might be it. She may not want.
Is that a thing?
Sink. Yes, because it is gross when you start putting your hand in there and there's still mushy things. Because you know these kids don't clean nothing properly. You know, you're digging around Fruit Loops and.
Oh, so maybe it's more of a reaction. Speaking to our terrible job of wiping the dishes off.
Yes, it might have been. I wonder. Ask Mama Height. Let's see what she says.
Hold on a second. Let me call her. No, I'm kidding. I don't.
Let's call her.
This is information.
Let's do
Actually,
a live call.
I know, like season 5, we're gonna be like, hey, other kids, and our kids will be making fun of us. Who even knows? But I feel like without a doubt, there's so many things that we absolutely are gonna talk about, and I think that as a listener, you probably want to get us to get into kind of the organizing and some of the stuff now, and some of the things that you know we've kind of learned over the years, and I have a lot to learn from Sarah. So I think it's probably time for us to jump into the part we have about us having kids now and all that good stuff. So we're going to jump into the time now as parents. This is a part of the show where we discuss what it's like as parents with our own kids. Sometimes we get it right. Sometimes we get it wrong. Sometimes Sarah gets it right. Sometimes I get it wrong. And sometimes we do a lot of guessing. And this is where we learn from each other. So now that we're parents and now that we that maybe we use the dish drain for clean stuff. We are now having our own experiences, and it's really wild because, like, obviously, like the things that are fresh in our mind that jump out to us from when we were growing up, like you can't help but think of those things sometimes when you're with your own kids and like tell them like what to do. But I feel like when it comes to this stuff, you made an amazing list. So where do you want to start? Where do you think is a good place?
I don't know. You know what? I have to say, I always think my mom, for better for worse, kind of took the training wheels off with helping to clean my room too early. I needed help because like around a certain time, I don't know what happened. I went from like maybe because she was cleaning the room after me after I cleaned it, quote unquote. My room just became a disaster
She's
between
like,
the
it's
ages.
perfect. Way to go. Let me just tidy up a couple things.
Right, like let me actually just clean it. Between like age like 9 and 12, my room would get like a disaster. And like when she wanted me to clean it, I didn't know where to start. I didn't know how to fold. So my one piece of advice I would say is that yes, you want them to learn some independence to clean up after themselves, but it doesn't hurt to say like, hey, let me like this is a big mess. Let me help you a little bit, you know? Or like this doesn't seem to be working. Let's figure out a way that like will work for you. Because I feel like that's how you learn because, you know, for a while there, I was stuffing a lot of things in bins. I probably learned that from the basement days, you know?
Probably, right? But I think like, I like what you're saying there because for me, when I look back on it, because like, I'm like, you know, I'm kind of all over the place sometimes, the thing that I realize is that I think a lot of the times when I'll be making a mess is not because of like the actual mess of like taking things out, is probably because I couldn't find something. And just like the not being able to find something gets you into that tizzy where who knew I'd be using the word tizzy tonight, where you would be taking a lot of things out and throwing them everywhere just to find the thing. And like, even like in that moment of running around looking all different places, now you've made like a disaster and it was really probably somewhat unintentional, but that's why we really kind of doing this episode. 'Cause it's about like getting the organizing part done first so that when you lose something, it's not as drastic as what it could happen if you weren't organized in the first place. Right.
Right, exactly. And then like so I still use bins when the kids were younger, like the little 9 cube box thing that you get from like Target, you put together. And it had like those bins. So I would try to keep like, okay, all the doll things go here, all the dinosaurs go here, you know, all the extra kitchen toy kitchen stuff goes in here. So that way they kind of like kept it like a little organized. And it got messy, got a little messy, but like at least it was like the idea that these bins had a purpose for each different item, you know?
I like that. So I think you're talking about a similar thing that I'm thinking about. Are those the ones that like, it's like sort of like wooden with like spaces for like box size material? You buy like, they're like cloth kind of like, but hard bottom, like whatever.
Yep.
Yeah. So IKEA and Target, the same thing. It doesn't matter what you call them, but we like those a lot too. My wife figured out that because like they're all like, we bought all the same color ones. So it was kind of like, well, what's the difference? Because it turned into like looking. And then it was like, what's the point of this? So what she did was she like, she made like little pictures that she printed out and slapped them on each of the boxes.
Yes.
So like it was like a little bit easier to kind of, I mean, I guess this isn't groundbreaking. It was impressive for me. So like you would see like, this is the one for like your, you know, the little people toys. This is, I'm not talking about you. This is the one about the animal toys. This is the one for the dinosaurs. You're like, don't you say that. This is, so like, then you would know before you looked in, or like when it came to cleaning up, it would be like, okay, we're going to take this box down. But, and that works to a certain extent. But then like sometimes like for us, like when it comes to like all the like people, I get to separating the animals from the people, but then it's like Bluey, where does he go? But the or she go. But the like those like when those boxes get too big, then it's problematic because then you don't even know what you have anymore, and it's just too much stuff, and you have like that loss of like choice where you just gotta grab for whatever. So then like that's when maybe we'll get like a little pencil case, like those plastic pencil cases, and then put like this one's for all the Muppet Babies, this one's for all the Bluey ones, this is for the you know. But the more of those things you have, the less you play with stuff because you forget it's there, kind of. So it's kind of a hard, you know, whatever.
And then like I don't know about you, but like around the holidays and then like around summer, like with the kids' toys, we always kind of go through and like say, what do we still need? What are we still gonna keep?
That's smart.
And kind of just like let's donate to another child who might need it. And the kids always like that because they always felt like they were like, I think another kid would like this, you know? And I'm like, yes,
nice,
it's kind of, yes, it's nice, except when they're donating like something that's falling apart. I'm like,
Barbie's one ring and
right.
No, but I like that like you
garbage
do that
like
because it makes it so like they are parting with it in a nicer way. You know?
So that's why I always spin it, you know, whether it goes actually in the garbage or to the donation place, depends on my mood.
Well, we had like a wild ride for a while where like, you know, like where we were going on tour for birthday parties, and then my kids wanted to hold on to like all of the goodie bag stuff.
Oh gosh,
and, like,
yep.
That stuff is not intended to stay long term. So like, you know, I get maybe you want to keep a mood ring, but like, do you really need to have like the little like plastic doohickeys where the guy flies out of a parachute? Like it's like too much stuff.
Yeah,
you know?
or like the spinny thing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So we try to isolate that to like one drawer, like in the you know in their dresser or whatever. But like that was like the no man's land, like one little drawer. Like it doesn't fit in there. That's it. You take stuff out. It's stay in that one drawer. But
Right.
what do you do with like do your kids like? I know Mike Levine, if he was here, he'd probably be talking about this right now, about his like Star Wars toys and having to dust them and take them out and stuff. But like, do you have a thing where like either of your kids had like, or even your niece had like where they would want to like put like certain things on display? Like we had this with Legos, and it gets so completely out of hand where it's like this wall of Legos. So my wife, she's like, I had enough. I can't take this anymore. So we put like we were in our basement a few years ago, and we got like those IKEA, just like this is not brought to you by IKEA apparently, but it sounds like it. We got those like ones that are just like, they look like they're kind of like whatever. They're like just shelves, whatever. So then like we made a couple shelves. Now like the finished Legos, we put them kind of like all the Harry Potter ones over here or whatever. And now it's like more of a display because it was getting out of hand in the bedroom, you know?
Yeah, so like Sophia used to make these like really awesome like buildings and like cities and connect the doll houses and all this stuff. And she would want to leave it. And a lot of it's like cardboard boxes and paper. And like it didn't always look, listen, she was using her imagination, but it wasn't like neat and structured. Do you know what I mean? Like it was like a child just having fun and using
this is not going to be put on display.
Right. So and that was in the corner of her room. And as long as we kind of like respected it, and I made sure she had like a little section in her room and it was away from her clothes and things she needed to access, I didn't mind that it was there. She never brought it down or anything like that. Julian, he loves his Legos and stuff like that, or his those bobblehead dudes or whatever. So I too got shelves for him so he could display them and all that stuff, because they were getting tossed all around, and I'm like, dude, like you worked so hard on it, or they're like a collector's item, you want to take care of them. So we put them on a shelf, and that makes him really happy, and he loves like rearranging them and maybe putting this guy with that guy, and that makes more sense in his head. So
I like that.
That was like a way to organize him. Yeah. And then like, as silly as it sounds, he is 10. So it was last Christmas, he got a desk for his room, and that now holds like his PS5, his headset with like the stand and all that stuff, just to kind of keep him
he's probably
organized.
like super proud of his little area. He probably loves it.
Yeah, because you know what? It was downstairs, and we wanted him downstairs in the beginning because we wanted to monitor his stuff. And then like now we kind of know what he plays. He kind of sticks with the same things when he's on the phone, like on the like speaking with his friends over the interwebs. The door's open, and we listen to him. Say, hey, don't do that, don't say that. But we keep it in his room. That way, it just kind of eliminates some of that extra clutter that goes on with like the Switch and the controllers and the doodads and everything else that goes with that stuff.
I like that, and it's funny because like I thought of you, because like whenever the Marie Kondo thing, this is like going back now to like our old podcast where we did food stuff, and Sarah D was telling me about Marie Kondo, and there was this whole thing where like you were explaining to me how like if you like stack clothes vertically, that like it takes up like less space kind of. So like that, if there's one thing I took away from Sarah is that we stack things vertically. So like pants and that even extends to like like video games. So like we buy like the the Rubbermaid stuff, whatever else, and we'll stack all the games vertically. You can see all the labels, and then it takes up a little bit less space, and then the controllers go in a separate one, and then if they have to get a game, they pull it out, and this is probably why they like to buy digital games. But then they look at the they have all their stuff out, and then it kind of helps with that stuff. But it's funny because like you just feel like you have to like institute some of these things, otherwise it just takes over the whole house, and then everybody's getting all mad,
And like Maria Kondo was great because it was the idea that you kept everything like what you really needed, and I still do that with like my clothes. Like summertime for me is like when I do like my big clean, like overhaul what I've accumulated over the years, and then like with the kid, like with Sophia, I try to teach her to Maria Kondo, but she does her own thing. Like she's at 2 a.m. rearranging her whole room, taking out everything out of her drawers and redoing it.
So wild.
She just loves doing it.
I just love that. So, yeah, and she's been that way forever, right? Like that, like her little personality. I just love that. That's forever. Like her.
That is so her. And then Julian's like me, where he's at the age where he's just destroying his room. Like it's just like a party rock star. Like came through.
Like, I get you, boy. I get you.
Yes. Like I don't know. It was like a party. I'm like, what the heck? I'm like looking up at the ceiling. How'd that get there? So
there's like red cups with X's on his hands. So like, what's happening here?
So I'm trying to teach him how to Marie Kondo his stuff, his drawers, because he needs a little extra help. My son over there.
They're all different though. I mean, like I even see that with my own kids. Like there's definitely like there's like a certain like it's funny because like Ethan is very particular about the way he wants things. Like sometimes it's a little chaotic, but like he has. My wife found that maybe we could talk about like art stuff. It might be good to kind of talk about if you have like an art area in your house or whatever else.
Yep.
So like he had this thing where like he was drawing on all these blank sheets of computer paper, and it was turning into like the ramblings of a crazy man because it was just everywhere, you know. And I love this stuff, but so she's like, because she's like she went to school for art and stuff, and so like she loved having like a scrapbook, journal book, whatever it is, like, you know, like nice paper, like big, you know, ring book. There's a word for it. It's not coming from me, whatever. So anyway, sketchbook. Why couldn't I? Thank you once again, Sara D. So she was looking at it and she's like, you know what? For the money, like at Michael's or AC Moore, whatever it is, like when they're on sale or when there's something going on, like this just makes so much more sense. So she just started buying these books, these sketchbooks. And truth be told, it definitely made like things cleaner and more organized. But man, that kid could burn through a sketchbook, and he would go. We've talked about this before, like coming up with like ideas for like video games and stuff. So he goes through a whole sketchbook, and he's numbered them. And I'm like, dude, you probably need like a directory for all of your sketchbooks. But it's good because they fit into like baskets and stuff. But he has like 37 sketchbooks right now. It's out of control.
Oh my god!
So
I love that.
I know. He's like, where was this book that I was thinking about? But it's funny. It was really cute because now I look at something from like a couple years ago. It's like, I literally have no idea what this means, you know? But it's cute though, because it's a nice way to organize. But what she did was she has like an area, like, I don't know. We always kind of had this sort of like feeling like that. I mean, it's not like we have a choice in the matter, but we never wanted to have like a house where we couldn't like, where everybody would be doing off their own things. We kind of wanted to have that feel where like, in general, like maybe our kids could be doing what they want, but like you just kind of want to know, like you can see them every now and they're there. Like you don't have to feel so separate where you're like screaming from other rooms to find people. So like we want to keep like the art stuff like kind of in the main room where the TV is and stuff.
Yes,
maybe that'll change as time goes, but you know how it is, right? So my wife was like looking at this area and like what started off as like a little art table, like a little IKEA art. Once again, what is with IKEA? With an IKEA art table, you know, with like little chairs. We was like, well, we need this, we need that, we need this, and then like as the kids got a little bit bigger, when it was like a little safer, you know, like without having like, you know, dangerous art supplies with little kids. Even so, when they're really younger, maybe it is smarter to do this. She started like labeling, and my wife got like a label maker. That's where things kind of got out of control. So she got like a label maker and then these little boxes, and then she started to make like little, like, you know, those little cheap pencil cases like that you buy for $1 at Staples, whatever. And see, not just IKEA. And then she would put the labels on them. And she would get like, I just wrote some down before because I was like making notes for the show, like looking over. She's got like slime, beads, watercolor, perler beads, feathers, pom-poms, paintbrushes, Play-Doh, kinetic sand, dry erase markers, gel pens, glue, what is it? Not glue. They can't be glue. It's gonna be glue. Glue, scissors, super tips, glitter glue, color pencils, pens, super tips, erasers, carousel of markers, box of crayons. And then she would have all these little things. And then it was like,
I like
she
there's a
actually
box
has
with
all
a
this
box
there.
of crayons.
Yes, there's a box of crayons. It's like a big container, right? And then what we realized was it was turning into like mayhem because like we would go to a restaurant or go out to eat or go to someone's house, and my wife would be like, go pack some stuff into a bag, and then everything would get like dismantled in a mess. So then she was like, okay, this is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna go through, and she's amazing with this stuff. She went through like the box of crayons, and she's like, I'm gonna take out some of the duplicates, or at least some colors that are similar, and make like a to-go bag or a to-go box.
Oh, I love it.
So this way,
yes.
like that would go in a little like a little backpack, and then like that would be the to-go box. So it wasn't like dismantling all of the amazing, awesome like organization that she did for that stuff. But it sounds crazy, but like once you have it all like out, it's really helpful because like then you just grab the box you need. Oh, you're doing a project, you need some glue sticks, some scissors, grab the box. What else do you need? You know, and then it just goes back into its little home. I mean, even the boxes are like all in different spots. Who cares? Because it's labeled, you know.
Yes.
So that was definitely helpful.
Do you know what that reminds me of? So one, when I was at your house and I saw that, I was like, damn, there's organized. And then two.
No. Damn, she's organized.
Yeah, Rachel. She is the brains behind this operation. And then two,
yes.
It reminds me of the Berenstain Bears Messy Room book where Mama Bear put all the after she had like an atomic break, like a mental breakdown, how dirty the rooms were, and she like labeled everything in boxes or whatever. And I always wanted that when I was a kid, like just to have a whole closet of boxes with stuff in there.
She's ready to like leave the tree and drive away. She's like, I had enough.
I know. She was like, I'm done with all his.
You guys can keep the whole tree. I'm moving out.
Papa Bear was in his garage just doing, futzing around in there. He's like, oh gosh. He's like,
so
Mama
calm,
Bear's
just
not
milking the
happy.
cows, whatever. Yeah, exactly. Maybe if you got out of the garage so often, Berenstain Bear, Papa Bear, and helped out so long.
But you know what? I totally relate to that because man, when my back hurts, I'm picking up something. That's when I'm like, rah. So yes, helping kids.
I'm going to the garage.
So you're not like Mama Bear screaming at them. It's good to get them organized.
So I think one thing that I noticed too that she did that I don't know where she came up with this idea. It was really good. Is like almost like a cooking tray. Like, like whatever, like, you could think of a cooking tray.
Yes.
She bought like plastic ones that were just like these plastic ones with the full intention to use for like just getting messy, whatever. So she has like, she found like these, like, I don't know, like whatever the large size cooking trays would be that have like, like the walls on them. So we have like 3 or 4 of those. They happen to be green. I don't know if they always come in green. This is a very much Rachel Height, thank God episode, and me being like, let me tell you all about the stuff my wife does, because she's so good at this stuff. But I guess I could probably also be good at this stuff too. But she found these great green trays, and they're very useful because like if the kids are doing kinetic sand or if they're doing something like clay, even like just like they're doing stuff, and then now you got to eat. Picking up the stuff and moving it to the side of the table is great, and also for cleanup is good because like that stuff just goes like everywhere. So that's kind of been handy as well.
That's like a very Montessori thing. I wonder if she got that as well from there. Because I did that for a little bit too, to be honest with you. With the trays,
and I was the one that went to Montessori. Who would have thought? Let's see. Clipboard. So that's for me. Okay, we got paper. My kids go through a lot of paper in general, but we just let them grab from the printer because like I mentioned like the notebooks and stuff. But I know this sounds crazy. Like I know like we make fun of me because I deserve it. But the clipboard stuff, sometimes like with especially like a wooden table. Like we have a wooden table. I mean, it's not the greatest thing in the world, but we have a wooden table. And I remember as a kid, like I would draw like and do my homework. And like one day we looked down at the wooden table and it was like all of my handwriting was like penciled into the wooden table because there was nothing underneath the paper that I was writing on.
Right,
so having like just a stack of like cheap clipboards is good to have. So if you want the kids to like, like when I'm cooking, I like having the kids like kind of hanging out. So sometimes if they're working or working, yes, they're working. If they're doing homework or they're drawing, whatever else, sometimes I have a couple clipboards for them to, I'm laughing because you're like, no, you're training them to become clipboard people like yourself. No, but
I
they
love
have
it
clipboards
because,
to
like,
grow. This is helpful.
Because sometimes like when you're cooking and stuff like that, like so like I have an island and if I'm cooking and Julian wants to do his homework, it's like where's there a clean spot maybe if I'm cooking and there's things that go all over the place and he can like just lean on it. No, it's good, a little clipboard.
But it looks like the food inspector is there, like just like
yes.
Yeah.
Or judging. Okay, he did not use a knife properly when he was cutting that. But like how do you like organize this?
I would have used less salt.
So in the kitchen, we just remodeled and everything like that. And so when I was trying to reorganize everything, because the old kitchen was not meant for me. Do you know what I mean? Like when you move into a new house and like there's things like I'm like this wasn't like how I would want to do stuff. So now the kitchen is a teeny bit smaller, but we gain more room overall.
Oh, that's great.
So we've kept. What I try to do is keep all the things that I use frequently in the kitchen cabinets, and I got bins from Dollar Tree. And I just so like things don't tip over or like they don't like get lost and like kind of because like nowadays like cabinets I think are just like these open spaces that they don't come like as organized, or maybe we didn't spend the money to get like all the fancy like organizational things like some of the cabinets have. So and they're like or like the Lazy Susan, like they have like now like those pie like cutouts where you put everything in.
Oh, that's smart. Yeah.
So because so many times I remember like in my old house with my mom, like with the Lazy Susan, things would spill over into the side and like never be seen again. So like that I got and I was like very happy with. And then in my garage, there's like so in the garage is like other stuff that we don't use maybe as frequently, like maybe like extra, like we go to BJ's extra like pasta or things like that. Yeah,
definitely.
And like there's no like chemicals in the garage that's gonna like contaminate our food. It's purely storage. And
Right.
so like the metal shelving, we have metal shelving for all the food, and then we do have some shelving for like parties and adult beverage. And like when we were like kind of putting stuff, they're like tipping over, and I was like, oh, well, let me get more bins from Dollar Tree. So I have everything in the bins. I do try to organize it by like baking stuff or like macaroni or pasta. I try to keep everything together because I read somewhere like if you keep things that you naturally will use together, it makes more sense. Like in like garage, like the pasta and then like tomato sauce or like anything
Yes.
like related is kind of together. Rice and the beans for me are kind of together. You know, the snacks have their own little section. So like I try to, it just kind of makes things flow a little better. Or like all like the condensed milk or coconut milk and like anything kind of baking related is kind of together because you're kind of, you know, when you're cooking, you're kind of doing that stuff, you know, when you're getting extra stuff.
I love that. And then some of the things that we did, and it's funny, you mentioned that. I instantly was thinking like how for the longest time, like it sounds crazy, but I think a lot of people will probably be in the same situation, is that when you move into your house and you put things in the kitchen, it just stays that way. Like you get used to it and you become a habit of it. And like, it just stays away forever unless you make like an active, like a decision to change that. And one of the things that I did was told by my wife that this is what we're going to do. So she ended up doing this thing where she put she's awesome. I'm telling you, she's so good at organizing. So like we had like one of those old school like silverware things where like, you know, the place for the fork, the knife, whatever else, like that, those things are like all connected. And we realized like this was just not working for us. So got rid of that. And then she went to, it must have been, what's that, like the closets rooms place? Where's that place in Westbury? What is that? That's that.
Oh
rooms,
gosh, Container Store.
Closets, Container Store. Oh my gosh, it was like you're like it's like $10,000 pyramid or something.
Like
So
trivia
Container
night.
Store. Man, it's like, you know, if you're gonna bring something up, you should probably know the place you're talking about. So what she did was, Alyssa Porter. So what she did there was she bought these individual rectangular containers, and then she just stacked them side by side, and like it just works so much better. Like, because sometimes like what we were realizing too was we were having this like ongoing fight with like the forks, because there's like baby forks and tall forks, and then like, you know, the tablespoons and then teaspoons, and like if you only have the limited number of spots for them, we tried putting them like opposing each other and like doing all these things, and just would never work. So like once we like separated everything and having these individual little like rectangular things, it just gave us like more like room for the things that we wanted, and it made like little spots for everything. And like at the time it was probably mayhem kind of figuring out, but like once she got it all figured out, like now there's like the place for like the measuring cups and everything else. Like I'm so happy. Like it's so much better than it was.
Rectangular, like what? Like
so they're like probably like, so they're like little rectangular things that are probably like this big. But now like, let me see if I have anything in my computer drawer.
like a pencil case or like a desk organizer
they're
thing
like they're like desk organizers, but they're like come on, oh here.
for utensils.
There we go, like this, but they're not like so wide.
Yes,
So they're like
yes.
these little plastic
Okay.
doohickeys. So like maybe
Yes.
like just as tall but half the size.
Yes.
And then like I use my computer desk too. So like you could just you know, where like everything's loose. There's nothing's loose anymore. You know, everything's got a home. But that's definitely been helpful.
I got
and the
some
other
of those
thing,
from
oh God,
Dollar
yeah.
Tree.
Oh, well, you know what? Who cares where you get them from? I mean, it doesn't matter. You don't get a prize for getting fancy ones, you know?
But that's like for another drawer that I have. But continue. Yes.
Yes. The other thing that was helpful for us, because we do have a very small kitchen, is this happened as a result of something ridiculous, which was when we had to replace a refrigerator. So when we were buying the refrigerator, like the handyman, we didn't know with the handyman that you could make it tall. You could like extend the height of the refrigerator if it doesn't fit exactly in the space. Like the cabinets that were above the refrigerator, we could have just cut back on the size of the opening. With the actual the doors of the cabinet themselves, and then we could have like done some things where like we could have gotten a taller refrigerator. Didn't know that. Got the refrigerator at the time that fit within this space, but what ended up happening was there was like a bigger gap between the refrigerator and the wall that we had liked. So we were looking around and we don't have this gap there. It just looked weird. So we found that they sold these, and this is not like life changing, but they sell these like little like very tall on wheels carts. And we got one that fit next to the refrigerator. And what was great about that is when the kids were really young, we had like a little section in our kitchen where we would have like all of the like grab and go snack things. So we were like assembling snacks on the weekends for the kids. It was all there, but then it would like took up a lot of space. So now we've dedicated that thing next to the refrigerator. It holds like the plastic utensils. It holds like the brown bags that are labeled for like, you know, morning snack, PM snack. And then the kids grab those bags and fill them up and have them ready to go. So then during the week, they grab one of those, because at our kids' school, they want to have like the snacks labeled separately from the lunches. So like they have to have them separate. So they have all their snacks and stuff organized. It takes up most of the space. And then I have some stuff like peanut butter and like breadcrumbs in there too. But like that's been useful. you know, that's useful, like to have a thing that's like separate. But I like what you were saying about having like sections that where you know that a lot of the things are, because your brain just tells you, like, that's almost like when you're going out to eat and you're like, that's where all the fast food places are. But that's like, it's all like, you know, in that same spot.
Yeah, no, that for me kind of works. Like, so like even I don't think it's a groundbreaking either, but like by the front door, there are hooks for everyone's keys. Does Gene ever put his keys on the hook? No, of course not. He puts it, we have a splanch or whatever. So he puts it like where like the railing is and where all of our mail that's very disorganized goes. We have to work on that.
Next thing to attack.
If anyone has advice on how to organize mail, please let me know, because I'm in desperate need. And so that's where he puts his keys. I put my keys on the key holders. And then I even have little hooks for the dog's leashes and their little collars. So that way when we go out, it's like, because it's right by the door. When you're about to go out, good. you leave. So like that's how I kind of like organize stuff, because I just find that it's like over the years it's helped me. And then I don't know about you, but my laundry room was becoming like, I don't know, like a semi weird dumping ground. Like I have like, it's like off from the kitchen. It's like the washer dryer's there, and above it we have shelving, and like like there's like the detergent, the softener, and like the smelly bead things, and the what the heck those tissue things are called.
Yeah. Little fabric softeners.
There you go. Yeah, those sheets. The sheets.
I did it. It helped out.
Thank you. Yeah, look at that. See? And then it was becoming like a dumping place of like random stuff, like the first aid kit and like the pledge and all that kind of stuff. So, and things are like falling all over the place. And like, I was like, now I started grooming the dogs myself. So like I started, you know, getting like grooming stuff, like, you know, clippers, nail clippers and all that. So I like, after a while I was like, gosh darn it. Like Gene keeps moving things up higher on top of the shelves where I can't reach them. So I'm like climbing on top of my washing machine and stuff like that. So I was like, okay. So one day over one of the breaks or whatever, the kids were home, I was like, I'm going to tackle this. So I went to Dollar Tree and again.
I love it.
And I got more bins, and I got them all dark blue to match the blue paint on the wall, because I want to be aesthetically pleasing. And I just organized it like things that we don't frequently use, like, you know, like the couch soap stuff when you rent the machine that goes all the way to the top, because, you know, I don't use that often. All right, because my, you know, it's very interested in this laundry thing. Okay, so what I do is like stuff that I don't use all the way in the top, things in the middle, and like I have a section for the dog, all their dog stuff, and there's some bins, and like it's so much more organized, and it just feels like better to like see things, and I don't have to constantly fight with Gene when he puts things all the way on the top shelf, because that's where the only space was. Now everything has a place.
So he puts all the snacks so you can't get to them.
I know. I mean, that would be good.
So. Because sometimes we had the same concern, like where we would try to organize things, but like maybe they wouldn't fit. So we got like a couple of like little stools for the kids to use that would kind of fold up. One of the couple quick random things before we jump into the article. One is when it came to like food and like pantry stuff with like pasta or cereal, that was turning into a mess. So some of the things they do, they sell these like these containers that like make things like airtight, where like you push the top and it kind of locks in. So we found those to be pretty helpful. Only of course when you like label them. Of course in like certain areas it's like very easy to get bugs and things like that with flour and grain. So that's really handy to have as well, to kind of like lock those things away in those plastic containers. But one of the things too, real fast, is they do sell seasonally. Rubbermaid sells like, or whatever brand, they sell those big containers. Like sometimes we'll use those to like organize their clothes, like, you know, 0 to 18 months, well, whatever it is, like 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, and like kind of have all their clothes or seasonal stuff for them, because we have 3 boys and kind of like pass them down from one kid to the next. We've used those, and then like when like Christmas is over, who cares? Go get a green and red one. They're super cheap. Halloween's over. Suddenly you need an orange one. It doesn't matter. So sometimes after those seasons, it's great. But Sarah, I think there's like a couple articles this week, right? There's or an article this week that you found that maybe kind of speaks to some of these good strategies.
So I found this article by Jessica Girl and her blog.com. And this is by Abby Lawson. And she kind of like talks about like how to like organize your stuff a little bit. So first thing, parents, give yourself some grace, because you know what? It's hard to manage yourself, let alone 2, 3, 4 plus people that you're also trying to manage at home as well. You know, your house can't be perfect all the time. Decluttering, she says, is a big thing. You know, anytime that you can kind of minimize stuff or throw things away, declutter. If you don't use it often, get rid of it.
Those are the bins.
Yes, exactly. or don't put it in the bin and let the bin become where it just goes to die or whatever.
That's true. That's true.
Create a simple system that kids could help maintain. So like don't make things like super complicated. Just kind of keep it nice and simple so they can organize their stuff. Like you said, like make little labels, try to organize it by like items. Also, separate toys by type. So we did that. Oh, labels. Oh, there again, she said. And make clean up a part of the pre-nap or nighttime routine or both.
I like that.
Yeah. I like that. That's good because it's like, oh, let the toys go to sleep too. And have little jobs that are just their thing. So like she said, like her son's job when he was 2 years old was to get the toilet paper out of the paper wrapping and put them in the cupboard. That way they're ready to go. And I think that's like age appropriate. Like they start getting little jobs. I think it's good for them. And make it fun with a chart. Some kids love a chart. Julian loves a chart. Sophia hates a chart. It depends on your child. And have a system in place to deal with all the paper they bring home from school.
Oh yeah. You keep it or toss it, right?
Keep it or toss it. I used to use binders, and like it was like a third grade year and I kept stuff, I throw things out. And then by the end of the summer, I just either chucked it or kept things. And then that's it really, So I think that was pretty reasonable.
I think you found a good one here. We got and like the bins are kind of nice because like we use the bins for like when they bring some home from school, and like once you see it, like I know it sounds crazy, but like the stuff over a year, when you start to see like the stuff, and if once it gets to like the halfway part of the bin, you're looking at it, you're like, do you really want to keep that? And then you're looking at it, it's like just like a random homework the guy would like stuff on it versus like a project or something that they wrote, and then those things are like the essays or the little like stories they keep, or those are a little bit more meaningful,
Oh no, I always kept that stuff too, just because I wanted to see them progress, and see like if they're making any headway. And then by the end of the year, I just chucked it.
Ooh. Good future episode. I like that. One thing that I think that was a funny thing that we once heard, and this kind of like goes along in the article, but in a different direction, is when I think Jake went to physical therapy like years ago, and she was so funny. She said that what she would do is at night, any of the stuff the kids didn't pick up, she would just grab. She would hold on to it, and she would just keep it in a spot. And over the course of the week, the kids would be like, where are those toys? It's like, oh, they're in jail. You didn't notice? And she had jail for the toys. So
that's hysterical.
Any of the stuff that got left out, they were in the kids could see them in the closet. She kept them for a couple days in jail. And then when she gave them back, they're like, well, they have to go away at night or they go to jail. It was like, that's like somewhere like the old school meets new school. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Oh man. But anyway, the question this week is if you have any suggestions or strategies to organize your life and your home, because I think Sarah and Mike are very open to any sort of advice, any sort of great ideas you have, and we'd love to share those with everyone. We'd love to hear from you. We have 3 ways to contact us here at the show. 1, you can leave a message in our Hey the Parents voicemail line at 559-LAY-KIDS, or the phone number is 559-537-5437. 2, you can email the show at heytheparents@gmail.com. 3, you can join us on Instagram or Blue Sky with the name at HeyOtherParents. And the phone number and email, all that stuff is in the show notes as well. And we are back for this part of the show. It's called Time to Unplug. This is where we talk about things that are going on outside of the kiddos. Sometimes it's something that we can do for ourselves with our spouses. It gives us a chance to decompress because you know what? You will be a better we if you take care of me. You'll be a better we if you take care of me. So Sarah D, bring us out. What do you got?
What's up? Okay, so I watched The Brother's Son on Netflix. And it is such a great action-packed, funny, family, feel good, gory TV show all at once.
It's all the spots.
It's everything. It's really awesome. I loved it. There was like a little bit of everything for everyone there. And not to give too much away, it's 2 brothers. They barely know each other, and they're related to this like gang life, and mom is there, and she's a strong woman, and you just really have to watch it to kind of just get to see how it all unfolds or whatever.
It's like the Yakuza or something, right? Like it's like it's like a very dangerous, violent street gang, right? And it's
yep, a street gang. So, and then you just see how it kind of just unfolds, and like everyone's kind of trying to gain power, and you'll kind of just gotta watch. You just gotta watch it. Watch it.
All right,
Definitely
I'm
recommend.
going to. I'm so glad that you recommended this one because, like, I'm like, oh, I want to see the bear. I want to see this and that. But then I saw the trailer for this at work with you. I'm like, I want to see this. This looks awesome. So, believe it or not, for my time to unplug, I don't know. I think it's because. Okay, on this episode, on our show, our podcast, we keep talking about back in time because we keep talking about like this time before we were younger. And like you and Mike keep talking about Wayne's World and I keep pushing it to like Back to the Future. So whatever it was, I was like, you know what? Let's watch Back to the Future because we were going to like kind of do like a preview to see like, because we didn't know like, is it the show that like, I remember it being like one way, and I was like, maybe it's kind of inappropriate. Like, like Rachel, let's just watch it. She was like, I don't know if I want to show the kids, but we watched it, and it was awesome. So like, I forgot how good this movie was. Like, there is definitely like the cheeseball parts of it, but like all of the things that are like great about it, like with all of the like inventions in the future and like the time travel that everybody makes fun of in like Avengers about the like Back to the Future time travel math. Like it is so good. And what was so funny is I remember being younger is Back to the Future 2. I remember like with my parents, a lot of people were like, that was a terrible movie, blah, blah, blah. It wasn't as good as the first movie. Watching Back to the Future 1 and 2, like in tandem was great because they really work well together. And then like, you know, all of the ridiculousness with Biff in the future and like all the time travel and stuff. That's one thing. But like, just the greatness of it was just like the feel good stuff and like to see Michael J. Fox in that like awesome, young, like funny, awesome role that he was in. It was just great. I think like if every now and then you have to go like backwards to the movie catalog and bust out a movie and like, I know this is so random, but I think like I appreciated Back to the Future more now. Cause like obviously older, having kids and stuff like that. For two reasons. Two, because in the future, in like 2015, we still don't have cars that fly. And it's very funny to see how things like never actually happened, you know? But, you know, and even watching like Rick and Morty, it's very funny because like that is like a spoof on Back to the Future. So like that makes me appreciate it even more. But anyway, if you get a chance, check out Back to the Future. I will definitely be checking out The Brother's Son.
Oh yeah.
And I think that this, I really can't wait. Honestly, I just want to kind of like I want to just like stay up really late and like just binge it. But yes. I know that's probably a bad idea, but maybe over the course of a few nights. So I think we're out of time with this episode on organizing your life and your home. We went through everything from Barbie losing her ring to getting those things all organized to going deep into the closet close to Narnia and finding all the clothes that are hip to keep onto and show up to your dances at school looking to your spiffy best. We even went through all of the things we now learn with our children and our spouses, where we keep the keys, where the bins go, how the crayons should be organized, and all that good stuff. And just like by being together, we learned a lot, and we learned a lot from you. So we'd like to take a special moment to thank our listeners or supporters for donating to the show. If you want to help support the show so we can keep making shows like this one, we do have a link in the show notes to do so. If you don't have the means to do so, we hope that you can tell your friends or family about the podcast so we can reach more listeners. Or if you're really feeling inspired, you can leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. We cannot wait to explore this parenting thing again with you next week on Hey the Parents, because the three of us and all of you. Don't forget to hug your kids and charge those Chromebooks. That's it for me, for Mike, and for Sarah. We will see you next time. Bye-bye. Hey the Parents is produced by Mike Levine, Sarah Desbrines, and me, Michael Height. I edit and mix our show. Our intro voice recording was done by the one and only Coltrane. If you like our show, we hope you consider going to our show notes to help support the podcast or tell your friends and family. Find us online on Instagram or Blue Sky at Hey the Parents, or send us an email at heytheparents@gmail.com. Thanks for listening, and we will see you next time. Boom.